Redlong Logbook here to explain the power of a god in Danmachi. First, I'm going to start off with what they can do right now without their powers, and after that, I'll explain what they can do back in heaven, because these are two vastly different things. And the reason why they're vastly different things is because this is basically a giant game for the gods to come down to the mortal realm and create familias. So having arcanum would ruin the game. So, starting with the current gods as they are now on Earth, they're basically just normal humans. No enhanced strength, no enhanced speed. They're perfectly ordinary people. So if there's a god that's really large or a god that's really small, then that really large god's probably going to have a human level of strength of a big person, and the short god is going to have a, harder time. The only difference is that they are unaging and immortal. Basically, once a god descends down to the mortal realm, they can stay there for as long as they feel like until they decide to go back up to heaven, or until they die, in which case they don't actually die. The arcanum activates, it heals them, but since you're not allowed to use arcanum in the mortal realm, they're sent back to heaven. Oh, and if you ever go back to heaven, you're never allowed back to the mortal realm. But because you have an unaging immortal body, you basically can live as long as you feel like in the mortal realm. Also, you have all of the skills you had as a god in your specific field, because these are just your natural, god-given talents. So, craftsmen and blacksmiths like Hephaestus or Golbanu are masters of forge of any kind. They are the best a human being can do with just human talent. And that is such a skill level that even human beings in their familias with fauna cannot create swords or weapons or anything as well as they do. Once again, Hephaestus and Golbanu aren't infusing arcanum into their works, so there's no magic involved, there's no super strength, there's nothing. This is just raw talent that they have, that they are just blessed with as gods of forging, and they're better than any human, even Subaki or Wealth or any other forger out there. This also applies to making medicine and magic items, so a god like Miak or Deasect, these two are masters of making potions and such that none of their kids can even compare to. Not even Ermid, the greatest healer in all of Aurorio, can craft a magic item as well as her god. And this talent applies, once again, to all gods of their field. Even Hestia. Hestia is the goddess of the hearth, which is basically a fireplace / oven / anything else you need involving fire. Doesn't involve forging, it's just homemaking, basically. And because of this, she is able to casually just light a fire with the flick of a wrist. Belle's even surprised by her ability to start the fireplace so easily because she's usually so clumsy, but no, because this is her domain, she's able to do it easily. This is why Taki, an insanely powerful fighter who can even take on upper class adventurers if he felt like it in hand-to-hand combat, and also why Hermes and Loki are so good at manipulating the scenario that they're in and tricking other people. And of course, why a goddess of beauty like Freya or Ishtar are able to charm people, because it's just their natural beauty that is doing it. It's not some arcane. Charm is not magic. It's basically just sex appeal. And they are granted one ability from heaven, their omniscient, but only if they get permission from Uranus during special occasions. This exception was created so this way the gods can be more entertained during big events like war games and such. Because the whole point of the gods coming down to the mortal realm was to be entertained after all. With that being said, it's like a downgraded version of their omniscient. Basically, they're able to manifest mirrors of anywhere in the world they wish to manifest so they can see what's happening. And they can manifest as many mirrors as they want so everyone can share in on see what's happening. And finally, the last thing that the gods have the ability to do in their mortal form is give fauna, which, to explain what this is basically a god giving a mortal god power. You see, the reason why they use their blood as a catalyst for fauna is because the god is literally offering a part of themselves to the mortal, so the mortal can then get close to the god. This is why as the mortal levels up, all of their senses increase, and why they slow down the aging process, because as the levels increase, they're getting closer and closer to being a god themselves. You never actually will make it to being a god. You will never have a god's power, but that's basically what it is. And that's also the reason why they're called familias, because you're basically becoming family with this god. You are sharing blood with this god. Okay, now to explain what the power of a god has up in heaven and what they can and cannot do. And we don't really get much information on it, but I'm going to tell you what we do know. First off, the gods created everything. Everything in creation was created by the gods. The world, the animals, the different races of people, all created by the gods. We have no idea if the dungeon or the monsters were created by the god, but everything else was. So yes, they have the power to create life. Their most powerful life that they've ever created would be the spirits. They actually create the spirits in heaven. Yes, spirits are like angels in the Danmachi universe. And while they could be servants of the gods, primarily they were sent down to the mortal realm to aid in humanity's fight against the monsters during the Age of Heroes. And spirits are insanely powerful. In fact, the demi-spirits, which aren't even full spirits, they're just a fraction of a spirit that the Loki family has been fighting since basically Volume 1 of Sword of Arturia, were all level 7. So when the gods created the spirits, they were basically making ultimate weapons, but even that doesn't compare to the power of a god. The gods in heaven have true clairvoyance. They just know everything if they feel like knowing it. This is why Zeus knows the story of all the heroes, because he took the time to, watch and see what was happening in the mortal realm. But if any other god felt like learning about what the ancient heroes were doing or what was happening, all they would have to do is basically just say, I want to know this, and it will immediately be popped into their head and they would know all the information. Once again, Zeus was the only one who actually cared enough, but that can happen. The gods also have the ability to stop clairvoyance being used on them. We know this because, spoilers, Dionysus is a complete psychopath, but no one knew that up in heaven. He was seen as kind of a jackass, but that was about it. He wasn't seen as someone who's actually pure and unreasonably evil, which means he was able to hide that from the other gods' clairvoyance. Also, now that the gods are in heaven, they can have full access to their arcanum whenever they do their crafts. So, Hephaestus was referred to as the heavenly artisan, because what she was able to create with her arcanum was on a level that you or I couldn't even imagine. The weapons she created were that amazing and holy. Think of any fiction where they use all kinds of weapons, from swords to shields to guns to whatever. Hephaestus could craft the perfect version of whatever that is. Hestia mentions, when she's erasing Freya's charm across the city, that her temple usually has no value in the mortal realm, but in the heavens, she was consistently in her temple stoking the flames of the hearth, because it basically is what allowed for sanctity and purity across the entire, creation. Like she says, it's not the kind of fire like Hephaestus uses to forge weapons. Her fire is what warms your home and heart, that casts out the darkness. Yes, Hestia has the power to eradicate evil at just the snap of her fingers if she felt like it. Well, if she was, up in heaven. Another thing that we learn about the gods is that they are so powerful that they can casually just kill anything in the mortal realm, because there's this story of a great dragon known as Ninhogg, which apparently was on par with the 3 grand quests. And as we know, because of Bel, it was killed by 7 spirits sacrificing themselves to kill the dragon. But most stories that got passed down was that a great flash from the heavens killed the dragon, because no one actually saw the great spirits actually sacrifice themselves to kill it. So the assumption by the ancients was that a god killed it. But Loki says no. If a god killed the dragon, they would have left a hole as deep as the dungeon. Basically, the gods can just erase the mortal realm if they felt like it. I mean, they did create it, so why not destroy it? Speaking of that, they also have the ability just to undo reality and bring the dead back to life. We learned this in Estrella Record, when after the attack on the first day of Blood, when there's mass casualties, over 3,000 people are dead, thousands more are injured, and a person who basically is about to have their leg cut off by Goddess Estrella because there isn't enough potions or healers to go around to save this person and heal them, but their leg is going septic, so it has to be removed now. The individual who asked, couldn't you just undo everything? Couldn't you just fix and put the world back to the way it was? Do I really have to lose my leg? Do all these people really have to die? And Estrella basically says, yes, I could do that. I could bring the dead back, I can heal everyone, I could fix all the buildings, I could just redo reality. But if I did that, then an evil god, with the wave of their hand, could undo what I just did. And this world will no longer belong to you, mortals, but it'll be a battleground for the gods. So yes, the gods can resurrect the dead, heal all wounds, redo reality, and just do whatever the hell they want. Also, I already just explained the most powerful thing they can do, but just for the fun of it, let's explain other things that they can do. Shapeshift, they can do that too. Apparently, Zeus has transformed into animals, sand, even light before, just for the fun of it. They never feel tired or exhaustion of any kind. Basically, they don't require sleep. And if they do sleep, it's because they're just doing it for fun. So the souls of mortals that go up into heaven primarily are handled by the gods of the dead, like Thanatos, for reincarnation. But if you're more powerful than a god of the dead, you could just casually take a soul and do what you want with it. You can either torment it or you can make it your lover. Whatever. The gods basically have the power to do whatever they want, whenever they want. They are multi-level, if not omni-level beings, basically. The only thing that doesn't prevent them from just annihilating everything constantly when they're back in heaven is the simple fact that each part of heaven is cut into sections, and each section has its own set of rules and rulers. Like the Olympian part of heaven is guided by the 12 Olympian gods, who are the rulers, Zeus, Hera. You probably know the Greek gods pantheon. And obviously, each part of heaven has its own leadership and the way they run things. So the gods up top make sure the gods below stay in line. On top of that, you have to do a specific job in heaven, this also takes up a lot of your time. So you can't just screw around like destroying the world and recreating it over and over again. For example, and obviously these jobs are split up amongst whatever you do. So if you're a god of hunting, your job is to spread the knowledge of hunting to the mortal realm. If you're a god of knowledge, god of medicine, god of war, combat, yada, 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 your role is to handle that kind of jurisdiction. But yeah, if the gods didn't have this hierarchy or these set rules or conditions that they have to follow while in heaven, then they could literally just do whatever they want, because once again, reality is their toy. And that is the power of a god in Danmachi. At least that's what we know of. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, give a thumbs up so you can enjoy more Danmachi and other things. Thank you, and have a great day.